Hello friends, welcome back to SQL with Manoj. Today in this video we'll talk about the SQL language, what are its types and in how many forms it is classified. So you might have heard of DDL, DML, DCL and maybe TCL. So we'll discuss all of these things in this video today. So let me just give you a brief description about these. So in SQL language, irrespective of the database tool like SQL Server, Oracle or MySQL, and if you talk in terms of the SQL standard, that the ANSI standard, every SQL language has some classified set of statements, right? And these are classified into different type of languages, right? Like the DDL, that is the data definition language. Second one is the data manipulation language. Third one is the data control language, and fourth one is the transaction control language. Okay, so first one is the DDL, right? So DDL is data definition language. So by data definition language, it makes clear that with this DDL you define your data. Means in SQL or any other SQL product like SQL Server, Oracle or MySQL, the data is stored in form of tables, okay, a relational table. So with DDL statement you can create, alter, drop the database objects. With the create statement you can define new objects. Objects means tables, views, stored procedures and functions, right? With the alter statement you can modify the definition of an existing object. Like you can modify a table, you can add a new column in a table, you can modify the data type of an existing column, right? Or you can remove the column also with the alter statement. You can update the stored procedure, you can modify the stored procedure by using alter statement. You can also modify the view definition with the alter statement. The third is the drop statement. With the drop statement you can remove existing objects, like you can drop the tables, you can drop the views, you can drop stored procedures and functions. Truncate table is used to remove all rows from a table without locking the individual row definitions. And this truncate table comes under, so this truncate table looks like a DML, but it comes under DDL because it resets some properties of a table. So it is kind of a DDL because it redefines the definition of a table. For example, if you have an identity column in a table, and if you are truncating the table which is having data, so it will remove all the rows, and it will also reset the identity seed to the value that it was defined earlier, right, when the table was created. So truncate table also comes under DDL. Okay, now the second thing is DML, that is data manipulation language. So with the term manipulation, it is clear that these languages are used to modify the data, right? Like the statement used to retrieve, insert, update, remove and manage data within the database objects, like the select statement. So with the select statement, a lot of people have some confusion regarding this statement, that is select statement a DML? Because with select statement you just retrieve the data, you don't modify the data, you don't insert and you don't delete the data, right? But is a select a DML? So select is a DML because when you not only retrieve the data, but you can change the nature of the data that you are retrieving it by using various functions that are provided in SQL, by using aggregate functions, okay, by joining the tables and getting the meaningful data in some other way. Okay, so let's say you have a first name and last name, two columns, and you can combine those two columns and get first name last name as a combined name, right? Like my name is Manoj. Manoj is present in one column, that is first name, and Pandey, my caste, is present in the second column, right? But you can combine both columns and can have a one column named that has a value as Manoj Pandey, right? So here with the select statement you manipulated the data, right, that is stored in the, so the data that you are retrieving is different from the data that is stored in the table. Second is the insert statement. Insert statement is used to insert one or more rows in a table. The update statement, with update statement you can update the existing data that is present in the table. You can either update a row or you can either update multiple rows at once. You can also update multiple columns or you can update single column at once, okay, any combination of that. The delete statement removes one or more rows from a particular table. Bulk insert, so bulk insert is a utility that imports data from external files into your database table. Okay, then the merge statement. So merge statement is a combination of insert, update and delete statement. So if you have to do these three operations at once in a in a transaction, in a single transaction, then you can have a merge statement. So this is based upon two tables. You have a source table and you have a target table. So if you have to keep both the tables in sync, so you can use the merge statement, right? We'll see in our coming videos about all these type of statements, how they work. Okay, so for now I'm just talking about at a very high level what exactly are these statements. Then DCL, that is the data control language. As a database administrator, you can have some control on the data, and this statement is used to control the access of data stored in database and provide data security, right? So these DDLs are under the control of DBA, that is the database administrator. So first statement is the grant statement. So with the grant statement, a database administrator can grant permissions to other users to access the table. So let's say a DBA can give grant permission just to select the data from a table. So that user cannot update the table, right? That user cannot insert a row, cannot update a row, cannot delete rows from a table. He can only do a select from the table. Revoke statement removes the previously granted or denied permission. So let's say the DBA just wants to revoke that permission so that the user cannot be able to even select the data. So by using the revoke statement, the user will not be able to do anything on that particular table. So with execute as, you can set the execution context of a session for a particular user. So you can execute a statement based upon some other user on his particular user context, right? Execute as clause. So execute as can also be used as a clause in the database object definition, like the functions and the stored procedures. So within the stored procedure, you can use execute as. So whichever username is passed on that particular execute as, so the stored procedure or the functions will execute on behalf of that particular user by switching the context to for that particular user. Okay, last one is the revert means whatever execute as context you have set for that particular user, it will revert to the original user that was logged into that particular session. Okay, so revert basically switches back the execution context back to the caller of the last execute as statement. Okay, the last thing is the TCL, that is transaction control language. So transaction control language is basically the internal SQL engine, how it basically behaves and how does it helps in maintaining the concurrency and the durability of the transactions. So this statement is used to manage the changes made by DML statements. It allows statements to be grouped together into a logical transactions. Okay, so with the transaction control language, you have begin transaction and you have commit transaction and you have rollback transactions. So these three go together. Okay, so when you are executing a particular statement, so you can bind those particular statements within begin transaction and commit transactions. Whatever statement is between those, all will execute in a single transaction. So either all of them will be executed or none of them will be executed, right? So begin transaction marks the starting point of an explicit local transaction. Okay, so this transaction increments the tran count by 1. The commit transaction marks the end of a successful implicit or explicit transactions, right? So commit transaction means that the transaction is committed. So let's say within begin and commit transaction you have 4 insert statements, so they will insert 4 records at once, and if anything fails in between, they will roll back the previous insert statements that were done, right? Third is the rollback transaction. It rollbacks the transaction that you have started, right? Begin transaction, it rollbacks the begin transaction if you have specified. And a third one is, and last one is the save transaction. So this save transaction creates a save point within a transaction. Okay, so all these things I'll be talking in detail, but for this topic this is just the high level overview I have given, right? So this is all about all these DDL, DML, DCL and TCL languages. I hope that you like this video, and please let me know if you want to know something in detail about these statements. So please subscribe this channel. Whenever I add a new video, you will get to know about this. Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day.